Hello?
6:59, yeah.
Yeah, I set my alarm for 6:58.
Yeah, that's enough for this though. No big deal. I can hear it enough.
Okay, did we even post for live streaming?
What do you need?
I was just wondering on the agenda.
Okay, I have 7 o'clock. Are you ready,
Okay,
Carol?
yep, you're all set.
Okay. Then
I'm
the
good.
Little Compton Zoning
Thanks.
Board of Review will come to order. For the record, to note, we're coming via Zoom. We're coming remotely, and this is due to the governor's order that public meetings have no less than 15 people in person. I'm sorry, no more than 15 people in person. Okay, I'm going to start off by calling the roll again so everybody knows who's here. And I'm going to start with Fred Berendorf, the vice chair. Can you say yes, you're here?
Yes.
Thanks, Fred. William Ryan, Bill Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bill. And then we have Herb Case. Is Herb here? Okay. Carol, can you let me know if you see him come in? George Goulart is here.
Here.
Great. And then we have Charles Hall. Is here, Charles? Charles, we don't have any.
I am here.
Great. And we have Mike Focarelli.
Here.
Terrific. I would note for the record, we also have Allison Quay here, who's our legal counsel. We also have Carol Wardell and Edie Marion here from the town. And special thanks to Carol for putting this all together, making this possible. And then we have a court stenographer, Nancy from Allied, who will be taking the record here. Okay. I should note that that we have we do have a quorum, even without Herb Case. So that would mean that Stetson Eddie, who I don't think I called, Stetson's here too. Tax here.
I thought I was going to be allowed to go home.
There'll also be a voting today. So there are 5 members who will be voting. In order to pass a variance or a special use permit, you need to have 4 votes, 4 of the 5 for people who are not familiar with our rules. I'm going to start by giving you the order, which was on the public notice. So we have 3 cases tonight, and we'll take in order. The first one is a petition from the Seconded Light Real Estate. We'll take secondly is a petition of Leslie Fox of a property of 14 Commons, and then the petition of Sean Martin, a property located at 18 South Shore Road. Okay, so we'll start then with the first petition, which is from Seconded Light Real Estate. Is there someone here representing Seconded Light Real Estate?
Yes, Jerry Petros is here, Mr. Chairman, representing.
Okay, Mr. Petros, you're recognized.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, with the board's permission and the solicitor's consent, we would ask for a brief continuance. The solicitor contacted us recently with a few questions that we're working through, I think, with good progress. And at that recommendation, based on that discussion, we would ask for a short continuance so that we can answer the questions raised by the solicitor and then hopefully move forward productively with the zoning board.
Okay, do we need to vote on that, or is it? So thanks, Fred. If people could vote on that, let's start with, if there's any discussion, first of all, I should say.
How long of continuance are you looking for, Jerry?
Jack, we would like it to be as brief as possible, a week or 2 weeks, but obviously it's subject to the convenience of you and the zoning board.
So
Can
our
you
next,
hold off till our, so you want to have a special meeting and then have us advertise that?
We would like to do it at 4 o'clock if that's convenient for the board, and I guess we would need to re-advertise, and I defer to Mr. Humphrey on that, but I think we would need to.
I would ask Mr. Peters, I don't know if you'd be able to, but if we could move it to September 16th and if we could do a regular meeting at 4 o'clock, I think that's what, that up to the board, obviously, but, it is our recommendation that it be renoticed.
I just looked at Carol Wardell and she felt that, or she realizes that we can advertise in the proper timely fashion for that date, if that's acceptable to you, Jerry.
Then let's do that, Tack.
4 o'clock on the 16th.
Can I just, can I take one moment just to check, make sure that, yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, any further discussion of the proposed continuance? Does that have to be in the form of a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that the matter be continued to 4 PM on September 16th.
So Tack Eddie makes a motion,
Second.
second by Mr. Berndorf. All those in favor? I'll call the roll as I'm supposed to do. Mr. Berndorf,
Yes.
William Ryan, Bill Ryan.
Yes.
Herb Case is here now.
Yes.
George Goulart,
Yes.
and then Tack Eddie, secretary.
Yes, but do I need to vote if Herb is here now?
You're absolutely correct. I'm sorry. So we have, and Mark Sawaski, I also vote in favor. So the affirmative votes are Mark Sawaski, Fred Berndorf, Bill Ryan, Herb Case, and George Goulart. Okay. Can I ask a question of Allison, our legal counsel? So should we still have, read into the record the public notice? Also, there was testimony submitted to us today by Mr. Rabidow.
No, I don't think so. We're gonna renotice the entire thing, so you don't need to read that notice.
Okay. So that takes care of the first case.
Thank you for your courtesy, Mr. Chair, and the rest of the board. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we turn now to the second case. Take a second here. And this is the case of Ms. Leslie Fox concerning a property located at 14 Commons, Little Compton. Does the secretary wish to read, or can the secretary read into the record the public notice?
Before we proceed, based on the agenda, did we have minutes to approve? I didn't see him and maybe he didn't have a chance to get them.
I didn't see any. I didn't see any, so I didn't bring it up.
I didn't get any.
Okay, then I'll start with the reading of the notice for that, which is petition of Leslie Fox, owner of the subject property located at 14 Commons, Little Compton, Rhode Island. Tax assessors plat 19, lot 17, requesting a lot coverage variance pursuant to section 14-4.1 of the zoning ordinance. Applicant desires to construct a 10 by 16 foot screen porch addition to the existing single-family dwelling. The proposed addition would cause the maximum 10% lot coverage to be exceeded by 6.6% for a total lot coverage of 16.6%.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie. And is there a letter from the planning board on this?
Yes.
There is.
If you could read
That letter is dated August 4th, 2020, addressed to you, dear Chairman, the Little Compton. I'll just read the salient section if I may.
Great.
Petition of Leslie Fox. Petitioner Leslie Fox was present along with Donald Medeiros of Able Engineering. Mr. Medeiros stated that this is a pre-existing lot of record. It is a residence use in a business zone. Under 14-5.2 of the zoning regulations, the size dimension requirements in a business district shall be the same as it required in the residential district. Ms. Fox wants to add a 160 square foot porch to the rear of the house. This puts her over 10% lot coverage. Mr. Steers question noted that the house had an existing shed equals 15.1% lot coverage. She is asking for a 1.5% in addition to what is already there. He also asked whether the porch would ever be winterized, to which Ms. Fox replied that it would not, and that it would remain as a screened porch only. Mr. Marinowski made a motion to send a letter to the zoning board stating that while this is slightly larger than allowed, because of the type of use as a porch, the impact on the comprehensive plan would be minimal and the dwelling would be in line with what we are trying to encourage in town. Motion seconded by Mr. Murphy. And I don't have in the letter how the vote was. I assume it was in favor, but can Edie Marion weigh in on that?
Edie is the secretary for the planning board as well, the recording secretary. Edie, are you here? If you can unmute.
Mr.
No,
Eddie,
you-
I did watch the planning board meeting and they did vote in favor. Yeah.
Thank you, Allison.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And who is here representing Ms. Fox? Maybe Ms. Fox, I don't know, or Mr. Medeiros?
I am present. Thank you. Hello, everyone. And Don Medeiros is representing the descriptive portion of my proposal, and he's online as well.
Ms. Fox, if you could identify yourself for the court reporter here. It's Leslie Fox, if you could spell it for her.
It's Leslie Fox, Leslie. Last name is Fox, Fox.
Okay, and Mr. Medeiros, can you do the same thing?
Yes, Donald Medeiros, DONALD with Able Engineering in Little Compton.
Terrific. And who wants to start?
Mr. Chairman, Don Medeiros, I'll start just to
Thank you.
maybe move things along. So as Mr. Eddy said, this is an existing lot of record as he read from the zoning board letter, planning board letter, excuse me. It's an existing lot of record in a business zone. The property is used as a residence. The lot size is 1/4 acre. It's a pre-existing substandard lot of record. The property contains a 1,266 square foot house, a 380 square foot shed, which shed or a detached garage, that's probably more applicable to the description of it. It's on the Commons. It's on the corner of the Commons Road and Spring Lane. The addition Ms. Fox would like to put on is 160 square foot. It would be a seasonal screened-in porch. It would not be winterized. 10 foot wide by 16 foot long. It will be, as you can see from the plan, it will be on the rear side of the house from the vantage point of the Commons. So it won't be seen from the Commons Road. It won't be seen from Spring Lane. Ms. Fox's house is relatively old. It's a small house. She does not have air conditioning. And so what the screen porch would do would basically give her relief from the summer heat in a way that she doesn't have to install air conditioning in an old house, which would be, a pretty substantial, endeavor. The porch itself would be placed on sonotubes. And as we said, it would have a roof over it, but it would not be winterized. We meet the side setback, the minimum side setback, so that's not an issue. It's really only the increase in lot coverage. The screen porch will face east or be visible from the east abutter, which is the Union Cemetery. So we're thinking that it's not going to be a big impact to the residents of the cemetery.
Yeah.
It basically won't be seen from the Commons Road. It won't be seen from Spring Lane. In my opinion, it's a pretty low impact request. And I think that's all I can say at this time, but I'm happy to answer questions or provide additional information.
I would like to ask the first question, and just to, if you could restate that this is more than a mere inconvenience.
Yeah, Ms. Fox can definitely comment. I think because it is an existing old house to meet her objective of having a little bit of space where she can get relief from the summer heat and not be subject to the biting insects and the, the summer sun. I think, it's more than a mere inconvenience. That, of course, that's my opinion.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
that's Mrs. Fox agreeing. Anybody else have questions here from the board? Mr. Eddy?
One for Mr. Maderas. Don, what are sonotubes, please?
So they're the round concrete. You buy they're like a particle board or a heavy paper type round tube that you put in the ground down below the frost level, so about 4 feet. You fill it with concrete, and on top of that would be set the piers for the structure of the porch.
So it's not going to have a traditional pad?
That's correct. That's correct. So underneath the porch will be basically undisturbed ground.
And I have one question for you, Ms. Fox. Been waiting patiently for Mr. Maderas to use the words biting insects. Do you have problems with mosquitoes there?
Always have. Very high water table, as you all know, I'm sure, in the commons, and in humidity and rain, it's pretty intense. So we've never been able to sit outside in the evenings here. And I have no existing patio of any kind. So the thought of building a small screened-in porch would be pretty wonderful opportunity to add to the house without adding much to the structure itself.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, are there any abutters present or anyone else with an interest in this matter who wishes to speak?
Well, I've had 2 neighbors one said they were going to write a letter of support, not sure if he did or not. Dr. Richard Marshall on Spring Lane, and my neighbors, the Klings at 6 Spring Lane, texted me tonight. They wanted to attend in support, but weren't able to join the call tonight. So I only have a text message from them, which may not be sufficient, but I've only had support so far.
How do you spell their name? I'm sorry.
It's Brad Kling, K-L-I-N-G, Brad and Cheryl Kling,
Okay.
6 Spring Lane.
I did not receive a letter from an abutter. I don't know if anyone else did.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably just busy times for all of them, but I had no one voice concerns. And also a verbal conversation with Bill Richmond. I'm taking down a large tree stump that, yeah, it's huge, diseased sycamore maple that had to come down. And when I take down the stump, the cemetery stone wall needs some rebuilding. So when I've coordinated that with Bill Richmond, and when I mentioned this zoning board meeting in my proposal, he had absolutely no objection either from the representing the cemetery.
Okay. If no one else wishes to speak, if someone wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Bernador?
Move that we approve the request subject to the fact that it will not be further developed beyond as we're approving it now as a screened-in porch.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Goulart. Any discussion on the motion? If not, then we'll vote. And again, I'll call the roll. Mr. Bernador,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mr. Goulart,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So that's 5 out of 5. So you have your variance, and thank you for going through the process.
Well, thank you. It was an experience. So I thank you all very much.
Very nice piece of property, very nice gardening, I would note.
Oh, I thank you. I've worked hard on that. Yes.
Okay, so we can turn now to the third item, which I need to get from that. And this is an application from Mr. Sean Martin. And if Mr. Eddy can read the public notice.
Petition of Sean Martin, owner of the subject property located at 18 South Shore Road, Compton, Rhode Island, Assessors Plat 32, Lot 47, requesting a lot coverage variance pursuant to Section 14-4.1 of the zoning ordinance. Applicant desires to construct a new single-family dwelling with attached 2-stall garage. The proposed lot coverage of 1,856 square feet would cause the maximum 10% lot coverage to be exceeded by 1.8% for a total lot coverage of 11.8%.
Thank you very much. And did we receive a letter from the planning board regarding this?
We did. This letter is dated August 4, 2020, addressed to you, Mark Sawaski. Reading the relevant section, Mr. Martin was present along with Donald Medeiros of Able Engineering, who presented the plan. Mr. Martin is requesting a variance to exceed the maximum 10% lot coverage. The proposed dwelling with garage would result in a lot coverage of 11.8 square feet. Followed discussion. Mr. Cady made a motion to send a letter to the zoning board stating that the planning board finds that this has a minimum impact under H1-B, B as in Bravo, which meets the goals of ED1, that's Echo Delta 1, which is residents to remain in town, allows him to live next to his mother as she ages. ED1C, Echo Delta 1, C Charlie, which is town employees. Apparently, Mr. Martin works for DPW, and also NH1-F, which is the new and improved ISDS to be installed. Motion seconded by Mr. Torchia, that's Torchia, voting to approve. Mr. Steers, parens, but still feels concern as to lot coverage, and to parens, Mr. Cady, Ms. Woodhouse, Ms. Sattel, Ms. Marinowski, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Ross, and Mr. Torchia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Martin, are you speaking for yourself or if Mr. Medeiros?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Martin's representing himself, but I'm here to support him as his engineer and land surveyor.
Okay, who wants to start?
Mr. Chairman, Don Medeiros, I would suggest I start just to maybe introduce the board to the site and give an overall description of what we're proposing. This is a 15,685 square foot lot on South Shore Road. It's a vacant lot. It's owned by Mr. Martin, adjacent to his parents' property. So Mr. Martin is proposing in my opinion, a modest dwelling. It's a 32-foot by 30-foot, 3-bedroom house with an attached 2-stall garage, 24 feet by 24 feet, and a covered farmer's porch on the front of the house, which would be 10 feet wide. Mr. Martin has set the house back from South Shore Road 50 feet. He had us Able Engineering design a septic system, an advanced treatment septic system, which has been approved by the DEM. It has an advanced treatment component with a septic tech processor tank pre-treatment, and also with denitrification. So we believe he's gone above and beyond in terms of environmental protection regarding the septic system. As TAC read, the lot coverage variance we're asking for is to exceed the maximum 10% lot coverage by 1.8%. We believe that the variance is warranted. I think, as I said earlier, I think what Sean Martin has done is he's designed a modest sized 3-bedroom dwelling. We look at the lots in the area. We know those are the Plymouth land grant lots that were pre-zoning. And when we look at lots in the area in that subdivision, it appears that, you know, some of them maybe have structures that are significantly larger. So I think what I'm trying to say is Sean's not proposing to meet the bar that's been set by his neighbors. He's just trying to build himself a modest sized house that's reasonably sized to suit his needs. I know he's building it as a farmhouse style with the covered porch on the front, setback 50 feet from the road. I think it's going to be an attractive house. It's going not to detract from the neighborhood. I think he's done a really good thing here. That's of course my opinion. And rather than go on and on, I'll just leave it at that and be available to answer questions.
Perfect. Mr. Martin, do you have anything to say, or do you?
Nope, I'm good with everything that Don said.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
My question is the lot to the north of you has no structures on. So the abutting lot, and that's owned by Judith Martin. So is that your mom?
That's my mom, yes.
Okay. So there would presumably be no opposition from the northern abutter, and you're abutting to the east.
Nope.
Okay. I guess the key question here is this the least relief that's necessary, right? Is this the least relief that's necessary?
Mr. Chairman, if Don Maderas, if I could
Okay.
maybe address that. I believe that it is. As I said earlier, I think what Sean's proposing is a modest and reasonably sized 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling with an attached garage. When you look at the lot coverage, I think, you know, you could make an argument and say, well, why not a 1-stall garage? However, because of the lot coverage issue, Sean's going to need a place to store his lawnmower and other equipment, as well as be able to park a vehicle in the garage. In my opinion, I think he has proposed something that's reasonable. It fits the lot, it fits the neighborhood, and it's not overreaching. In my opinion, I think it is the least relief necessary to allow Sean to construct a house that's reasonable, appropriate, and you know, fits in with the neighborhood and is certainly not asking for any more than the existing lots around them.
Okay. Going to ask if there's any other questions from members of the board. I also want to note, Ms. Fox, that you're free to leave if you want to. We're free to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
No, thank you. I'm
Okay.
waiting. I'm just in support of Sean. So,
Oh, good. Okay.
Thanks, Leslie.
yeah.
Okay. I do have a question. What would it take to get down to 10%? Because I'm basically opposed to anything going above that 10% on new construction. And obviously, the planning board had some of those questions also. So I'd like to know what it would take to get down to 10%.
I would note, Fred, that if you remove the porch, which is 320 square feet, the front porch, you would come under the 10%.
Yeah, okay, I understand and I agree with that, but I figure let them tell me.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last bit of that.
That would be the thing to do. Yes, absolutely. I was trying not to avoid that because I really would like to have the farmer's porch in the front of the house.
Don Madeira said to answer that from an engineer's perspective, yes, if Sean eliminated the covered porch, he would then be at 9.8% lot coverage. So certainly that would be doable. But I think from my perspective, from looking at it from the neighborhood, trying to meet the intent of the comprehensive plan and, trying to not to detract from the property values of the surrounding properties. I think a covered farmer's porch would, knowing Sean and his, abilities as a carpenter, I think he's proposing something that would really not only add value to his property, but also to the neighborhood in general.
Other questions?
Mr. Martin, how big a family do you have?
It's just me right now.
Okay.
Me and my girlfriend. I have a girlfriend.
Good. Don, what would it cost, assuming the lot to the north owned by his mother is high and dry, not that that's really has any bearing, but what would it cost an applicant to add sufficient square footage? In other words, you to do a re-subdivision plan, take it to the planning board, et cetera.
Well, we did consider that. The property is owned by Sean's mother and family members, so there are multiple owners. We looked at that as a consideration, and at the end of the day, we realized that if the owners of Lot 46, the Martin family, were to agree to convey a strip of land to Sean to add to his lot such that he would overcome the need for the variance, we would still need a variance for the Martin family to take land away from their lot. So we looked at that in the larger picture and said, well, we think that this is the least variance necessary, because to do a subdivision, we would need a variance to take a substandard lot and make it smaller.
Okay.
So not to put you on the spot, Don, but a guesstimate of what that would cost?
To do that?
Okay, well, so
Don.
let me start off. Let me think this through and logically. So we've done a class 1 survey of Sean's lot.
Right.
We would need to do a class 1 survey of lot 46, the Martin family lot to the north. We need to do a subdivision, go through the planning board. We'd also need, obviously, to get a variance from the zoning board to affect that subdivision. If any of my competitors are listening, I hate to throw numbers out there, but again, Sean and I had this conversation, and we really came away realizing that either way we need variances, and we thought that to ask for a variance to reduce the size of a substandard lot was more of a variance than the least variance necessary, which would be for the 1.8% lot coverage. So I still haven't answered your question, Ted.
So, Mr. Medeiros, John, if I said that it might cost Mr. Martin an additional $5,000, would I be in the ballpark?
Yes, yeah, I think you would. Yep.
Okay. So to me, that seemed like an inordinate strain to put on an applicant to add, to take away from a lot that's a bit larger, but not a heck of a lot larger. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Right.
Mr.
Yeah.
Berdo.
I still feel that, there's a way of getting down to the 10%. We should.
What would be the area if you only had a one stall garage? Is it 240 feet? 10 times 24, or 12 times 24, I guess it would be.
That would be 288 square feet. I think that would do it. Hold on one second. 15. I think I did something wrong here. Bear with me for a minute.
No problem.
So Don, while you're doing that, you suggested that he was going to need an area for storing a lawnmower, et cetera, tools, whatever, for care around the house, which if we eliminate the second garage stall, potentially would require the need for a shed.
Well, that's correct. Absolutely. And not to interrupt you, Mr. Hall, but to answer the earlier question, making it a 12 by 24 foot one stall garage, that would put us at 9.99%. So that would actually make us conform with the 10% lot coverage. However, as you pointed out, Mr. Hall, to a one stall garage for a vehicle, I think Sean's going to be coming back in the future asking to put up a shed for lawn maintenance equipment.
Any other questions from the board? Are there any abutters here or other folks who'd like to speak that have an interest in this case?
No, they're not. There are none in the council chambers here.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
I
Okay.
second that emotion. Bill Ryan?
Okay, so Mr. Goulart made a motion to approve and it was seconded by Bill Ryan. Any discussion of the motion? My thinking is that even though I agree with Fred in terms of going over the limit, the amount here is very small. There's no abutter to the north presently. There's no house or anything up there, and it makes it very inconvenient for Mr. Martin not to have a place to store his equipment.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm inclined to, even though I very much respect Fred and follow his.
no, I feel that this is the second time we've had this in the last week. We have a 2-acre limit and 10% coverage. And if we keep saying we're going to let people go above that, I think we're not doing our job. I don't like to be nitpicking about things like this, but I just think that we have zoning rules for a reason. And to set a precedent where everybody comes to us every time they want to go in a substandard lot and go above the 10%, I think it's wrong. And so I'm not in favor of this motion.
But then, if I may be heard, one can take the position too, Fred, that this is, Don mentioned earlier, this is Plymouth Land Grant, a subdivision that predated zoning by many, many years. They're small lots, and, it's tough to, in today's America, to build a reasonably sized house on a lot that's
I understand that, but that's part of the problem of when people have lots like this.
I'm only mentioning that you said, 2 acres. 2 acres obviously would be an 8,000 square foot house.
Obviously.
And this is not the case here.
No, but it's the 10% that really counts.
That is true.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, are we prepared to vote? Okay, I would say yes. And so all those in favor of the motion to permit this, to grant this variance, please vote yes and or no. So I'm going to call the roll again. So Mr. Berndorf,
No,
no. Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mr. Goulart,
Yes.
and then I vote yes. So the variance passes 4-1. You have your variance. So thank you for going through the process and good luck.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
guys. Appreciate it.
Good luck with your house, Sean.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, before you make a motion to adjourn, just like to ask if the board would consider, I think we discussed this with Mr. Petros, holding the meeting for September 16th at 4 p.m. rather than 7 p.m.
That was part of the motion we made to continue it, Allison, at 4 p.m.
Yep, so if there are any other applications, if we could just continue on from that time frame.
are you saying that we're going to do the continuance plus others that day,
If the board is so inclined, yes, yes,
rather than meeting at 4 and then again at 7 is what you're saying?
yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
The 16th is our regularly scheduled meeting. Is that the third Wednesday?
That's what we're saying, I guess.
But instead of 7, it's 4.
Say again, Bill?
I think it's, instead of 7, it's 4, it starts.
Okay, but that's the date that we would regularly be meeting. Have we already advertised for a 7 o'clock meeting?
We have,
That's
Have
right.
we have,
we
Yeah.
have. It's in today's Secana Times.
So,
all right,
So
So we
right now,
have-
we have a meeting at 4 and at 7, if we go ahead with what we've proposed.
and we passed the motion to that effect.
yeah, maybe the solution is just to reach out to Mr. Petros and ask that his continuance be set at 7 rather than 4. That way you're not meeting twice. I think that's probably,
The problem may be, Allison, they have, they're representing the Mars on Grange Avenue, and he may prefer not to have, back-to-back petitions. I just share that with you, and you can touch base with Mr. Petros and see what he wants to do.
all right.
Okay, I think that's a good suggestion. Let's see if he's willing to move it, but he may not be able to. And we're to bind here because we passed the motion that would set it up at 4, right? Okay,
Are we gonna have time enough to advertise?
Yes, if we do. I checked with Carol on that, Herb.
Okay.
The good thing about that is it will be renoticed, so whatever time everyone agrees to, we can move it, is flexible for that.
so if you're going to contact him, Allison, and get back to Carol, like
Yes.
tomorrow
Yep.
morning, so that she can get it going. Okay, is there any further business or discussion?
No, I would just say that we have 2 matters currently on the agenda for 7 p.m. on our normal meeting date in September. The first was Mara, and the second is Wilma Bruning on South Shore Road relative to seeking a special use permit for a commercial kennel.
Okay, thank you. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Motion.
Second,
Who made the motion?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Mr. Hall made the motion and seconded by Mr. Berndorf. Okay, all those in favor, I think we can do this by voice vote. Yay, yes.
aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Okay, so no one opposed. Thank you all for coming and see you in a month.
Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
Good night now.
Good night.
Good night.